we're going to really dive into now, which is AI and wealth management. Um, just going to begin by asking my panelists here to introduce themselves, and then my surprise question to give us a book or a piece of music that you think best represents you or that you'd like to recommend to our audience here. So we're here to talk about AI and wealth management. So why don't we begin with you, Fahd?
That's a really nice surprise.
No problem.
Not prepared. Hi, I'm Fahd Rachidy. I'm the CEO and founder of ABAKA. ABAKA is an enterprise solution for building retirement platforms. We work with financial institutions, banks, retail banks, asset managers, insurance companies, building their customer experience. The enterprise solution is powered by artificial intelligence. We have a range of basically modular applications that our clients are licensing to build their own retirement engagement with their customers. Work today with clients like HSBC, Legal & General, NatWest, etc., across the globe. And the book that would reflect me is Herodot, the stories of Herodotus.
Okay. All right. Good. Clara, comes prepared.
Thank you. My name is Clara Durodié. I am the founder of Cognitive Finance Group. We are an AI management consultancy based in London. We advise regulators, governments, corporates and investors on correct deployment of artificial intelligence for business growth and profitability. So we are very much driven by deployment of this technology for business growth rather than in abstract or indeed to put yet another more layer of governance. So the book, which has defined me, actually, it is my own book, and actually I've got it here.
This was not planned.
It wasn't planned, actually. I have only one copy on me. So this book has actually defined me in many ways. It has taken me 2 years to write it and research it. It is the first book of this kind in our industry. It's called Decoding AI in Financial Services. It looks at how artificial intelligence impacts business strategy and corporate governance specific to our industry.
Okay, Sylvain.
Hi, my name is Sylvain. I'm the CEO of SESAMm. We're a fintech company of around 40 people providing deep tech services in AI to asset managers and banks worldwide. We actually extract billions of information from the web, from news, blogs, social media, and the like, and extract insights for investors and build trading strategies, investment strategies for clients. So we do that with a lot of hedge funds, quantitative asset managers, and also more traditional teams. So I'm very happy to participate in this panel. And the book is kind of a surprise, but I'm actually a reader of a lot of fantasy books. And I feel like one of the reasons I very much like AI is that it's kind of this ability to try and build something that looks magic. This isn't really magic, but making it magic is actually the most difficult part. We talk about this a lot with our team. Making something that is very technical, that solves a lot of problems, but that is very hard to use, is something that we know how to do. Making something that looks very simple is really something magic in itself.
Okay, good. Giulio.
Hi, Giulio Massucci, founder and CEO of Wavenure. With me in Wavenure, there's a team of very experienced professionals in financial markets, investment, trading solutions, quantitative financial analysis, and artificial intelligence. So we combined everything together like an investment committee in our cognitive agent that we have called Braino.ai. To enhance investment decision-making of professionals, asset managers, of course, and of trading professionals. With very, very interesting track record. We are launching our new fund in partnership with very high street asset management firms. And look very, very exciting to every enhancement that the applying of artificial intelligence can bring in the field in terms of profiling, in terms of decision making, in of performance generating.
Okay, and your book, or your music?
No, no book. Yeah.
No music? Nothing? Okay. All right. So the first question I want to ask the panel, I can hardly read an article about AI that doesn't use the word hype and question whether AI is hype or reality or what is it? Where are we in the cycle? Clara, do you want to begin with that?
Well, I think I'm not sure about the word hype. I would use the word misunderstood, perhaps misused, sometimes missold, and by one of the results is misbought. I think we are yet to understand and define what AI is. It throws me when people use artificial intelligence and machine learning in the same sentence. It creates a lot of confusion, and most of our clients, decision makers, corporate boards, actually they struggle to keep up with this level of confusion. I remember a chairman actually told me, okay, now I kind of understood what AI is, but what is machine learning? Because people keep throwing this AI and machine learning. So that was actually one of the pivotal moments when I decided to write this book, to dispel the misconceptions and clarify some concepts. It's hype because it's a lot of confusion.
Fahd?
Yeah, there is some hype, obviously, in using these terms in the industry. However, I think we're at a point where you can see a lot of applications of the technology. So, for example, if you look at in the US, Bank America with their chatbot using conversational AI, you've got 10 million users on there. You've got that technology applied on face recognition for KYC AML. You've got a range of applications. We're using machine learning for what we call intelligent insights, so understanding the saving and data footprint of an individual to engage them and infer from that the best way to create engagement with retail customers. But I think the challenge in the next probably couple of years is to have those solutions deployed in production and demonstrate what is the value proposition for the industry, for providers, as well as from an end users. What does it bring on the table for me as an individual? Do I get a better outcome from the solution that I'm being sold, for example? So I think once we've got that stage where we can actually say, well, actually the services has a material improvement from what the industry used to provide, then we will have probably an even better engagement and deployment of those solutions with providers.
Okay, Sylvain, hype or reality, and what about the definitions, as Clara's saying?
I would say hype to some extent, but simply because it's in the very, very, very early stages. What we're seeing in terms of degree of advancements of asset managers and hedge funds and banks in AI is still quite limited, especially I would say in Europe. We're very lucky to have clients in Europe, in the US, and Japan, meaning that we can also compare geographically what's happening. And right now, in our specific topic that is alpha research, so generating signals based on non-standard data sets, alternative data, and the like, I know of like a maximum of 10 hedge funds that are fully mature on AI technologies. And then I see 99.99% of the industry that is looking to do the same thing as these 10 funds. And these are Two Sigma, Renaissance, WordQuant, Citadel, and the like. And so I think we're very much in the early stages. In terms of strategic decision, as you mentioned, it's sometimes very hard to know what to start with, what is the first step towards building these kinds of evaluation pipelines, data pipelines, etc., to generate actual performance. And I think we'll see really, really interesting things in the future, but I think that there's still quite a long way to go. We're trying to accelerate that as much as we can, but it takes a lot of time and it takes a lot of focus from the teams.
Giulio?
When a new technology appeared and promised disruption, there is the generation of hype and buzzwords for sure. And this is happening also in artificial intelligence. But I think that we are really in the early stage, and every application in the real business offer enhancement, important enhancement in every step of a process, in engagement, in communication, in profiling, in managing portfolios and customers, and also in decision making on financial markets. The massive work is better done, the massive job is better done by cognitive agent and quantitative approaches. So the industry will progressively adopt more and more this technology. Of course, asset management, wealth management are very traditional business, so there is some delay than other sector, but it's a must. As you know, it's not a choice, it's a must.
Yeah, so let me just ask a follow-up question to you, Giulio, and we'll come back. Will AI replace people? How does that work? And does the industry have something to be afraid of with AI?
It depends, you know. In my personal experience, in Wavenure experience, the decision processed by our cognitive agent present better results. So it can be used in competitive with some asset management approaches, some trading approaches, and so on. No, of course, the real challenge is to keep the human in the loop. No, to maintain the better skill, the best skill that we as humans have. For example, emotion, intuition. No, some other aspect where the cognitive that don't solve to us.
Right. Sylvain?
Our domain is a bit specific regarding that. We work really in a domain that is not related to automation. We're really into alpha generation, looking for signals in data, etc. And what we see is the truth about AI and data science, etc. in that domain specifically is that the ones that are actually winning are the ones that are constantly building new models and signals. What happens if you're looking at traditional market data or alternative data is that you build a strategy, it works for 6 months to a year, and after that there is alpha decay and your strategy basically doesn't work anymore. So firms that are enormously successful, and some of the ones that are named, basically have a process in order to continuously build new quant models and new data science models in order to renew their strategy. And they're building like 1,000 different strategies. They're putting all of these alphas in one specific basket, and they're renewing them constantly. And this is why funds like, again, say the word quants, etc., they have hundreds of researchers and data scientists. It's not like automating once and then the strategy works forever. It has to be renewed because, well, markets evolve.
Yeah. Clara?
The short answer is no. But what I'd like to put forward to the audience is the scenario which was on my desk recently, how to build avatar advisors. And actually, this was a request coming from a wealth manager. And the whole concept is how can we build an avatar to replicate the strategy and the behavior of individual advisors, so that those avatars can be trained by those individual advisors. And the whole scenario, someone joked, you know, so individual advisors would go on the beach and sip pina colada and other cocktails whilst the avatar is making investment decisions. Anyway, that is a scenario which perhaps is never going to happen. But the whole concept is interesting because this conversation was issued and we've been approached by a wealth manager to design this concept. An avatar advisor is to model on advisors' decision-making processes. And I would argue that that might be wealth management 3.0. now that we are at 1.0.
Fahd, want to weigh in?
Oh yeah,
something
definitely.
to
This
be
is
afraid of
interesting
here?
because obviously our solution is designed to provide advice to retail customers, to help providers deliver that advice to the mass market, to people who don't have access to advice on retirement and saving solutions, right? And so obviously the idea of building an avatar that comes to mind, and you want to automate that process and create an experience from a customer standpoint that mimics a conversation or an engagement with an advisor. Okay. However, I would say this is, the 3.0 version is not there yet. I think there's no doubt that the technology can analyze and process huge amount of data in a very short period of span and create insight that are more intelligent than what a human brain can process, or even a human being working in front of a computer can do. And so if you're looking at automating processes and scaling those processes and reaching out masses of individuals, it's extremely powerful. You can process, we do that in our models, looking at behavioral data, it's emotional data, social data, so patterns that people are doing online that leaves a footprint. You guys are all on your mobile right now during that conference, and you're using your phone, you're producing data. On average, people produce 12 gigabytes of data per year. Tomorrow it's going to be 5 times that amount. And so we're constantly emitting data. So our job is to actually create insights from that data that are valuable to engage customers on financial products, right? And so obviously at some point there's an emotional decision that the individual has to make when they make a transaction. It's really difficult to replace that process with a machine. People want to talk to their friends, to their family, to their advisors. So they want that comfort at some point. So the challenge is to find the right balance, in my opinion. And I don't think that will be, replaced anytime soon.
I have this idea. Let's talk a little bit more about some of these use cases about the avatar and so on. I have this idea always in my mind that the average age of a financial advisor now is 60. Globally, something like that, something close to that, where they're aging out. Difficulty recruiting people into this space as financial advisors, including my own son, who told me he did not want a sales job when he graduated college. So he did not go into wealth management. But I often think of how AI could really help to bring these younger, new financial advisors, to give them the wisdom, let's say, of someone who is an older financial advisor who's learned over the years. Maybe you could talk a little bit about how that use case, you could see that coming about. That is a real problem that we're facing. And I don't think digital is going to fix that, because there still is that place for a human advisor.
Yeah, absolutely. It's, it's true that
On that idea, but yeah.
There's definitely an issue when it comes to providing affordable and accessible advice to mass market clients, and obviously the fact that you have a range of advisors that are now getting very old and close to retirement, and a lot of clients of ours, institutions, are looking at ways to obviously provide and fill that gap. And as I said, I think the idea is really to create a digital experience that is frictionless, that is seamless, that provide instant answers to any questions you may have on your product at any point in time, from the comfort of your living room while you're watching Netflix on the side. And financial institutions today needs probably to transform itself into an ecosystem rather than just a push product. And that's the biggest challenge. It's probably not about humans. It's actually what are the business vision for the company that you're running. What are the opportunity set going forward in the future for you as a business, and redefining at the strategic level the implementation. I think when you are looking at deploying automation and using artificial intelligence in your institution, you know, it must be a strategic view. It has to come from the top. There's a lot of issue around accessing data from your existing customers and building, you know, a data set that is available where you can run on it actually run on it machine learning. And so it needs to be a DNA change really from the institution. So, and that's where you probably can convince the younger generation to come on board, because it's really cool to work on these new technologies and do something different rather than, you know, being like sitting in your fancy office receiving wealthy clients.
Mahogany table.
That's
Clara,
on
you want to
paper.
weigh
That's
in on
ideal.
that?
That's the ideal scenario. So I'm going to leave my consultancy hat on the side for a moment and speak as a prior practitioner in asset and wealth management. That's where I cut my teeth as a portfolio manager, and also I worked for a number of years in executive management functions to grow a wealth management business. So there are a lot of issues, and one of the biggest issue to adopt this transformation, this digitization, is is the advisors. And the age is one factor, and the comfort of the stickiness of the money and the large share of fees creates that comfort. Why change? We've been doing this business for 60 years. Why change now? This is what a chairman told me. So they can't see it, one, because they don't understand it, two, because the comfort is too alluring. It's difficult for young people to get in this environment. They have to wait until these advisors who hold these clients' portfolios to retire. So that's reality. We can't beat around the bush, and no board would make any other decisions than to protect the interest of those who generate fees. But in terms of business strategy of deploying this technology, there are four main areas. And the first one is client engagement, right? And the second one is advisor productivity, which is yet to be understood in wealth management. The third one is optimizing the actual enterprise model. And the fourth one is augmenting decisions. There are many issues when looking after clients' portfolios, like real-time context for client service and decision-making. That can be done with the right AI tool. And there are not many people who actually build these tools on the market. For instance, another important element of an advisor work is what is the next best decision to make in critical situations concerning clients. It doesn't have to be taken over by AI, but it can be augmented with AI tools. And in the same vein is the event detection and predictive modeling of these critical situations. These are exceptionally useful applications, which are unfortunately not understood by the decision makers and those who buy these products in wealth management. Again, that's why I devoted time to write this book and explain it. Because a lot of boards I work with, they tell me the same thing. We don't know what we're going to sign into it. There are so many concerns, we don't know. So it's better that we do nothing. And by the way, we've been making money in this model for 60 years. Why change now?
Yeah, I'm just going to add one thing on that, Clara. That's my experience for the past 10 years in working in this. So how can that change? Is this going to be the next generation of advisors? Is it going to be a workplace change that really drives it? Is it clients, though, on the other hand, pushing up?
Well, the clients can push, and usually the clients tend to be very slow in moving. They're used with certain advisors. But here's the short answer to your question. It's going to happen when it'll make them more money, as simple as that. If it makes more money, if you can prove that you're going to make more money for an entity, then they're going to buy your product. But you have to prove it.
Yeah. Or you make less, because we're in an industry where it's becoming extremely competitive. Margins are going down to the floor. fees on AUM, are sometimes
a-
at zero. So if you run business as usual, then you're just short-sighted and you're going into a wall. You need to invest and innovate today so that in the next 5-10 years, you're ready to compete and maintain your margins.
It doesn't fly with it.
Sylvain?
It's actually a very, very good remark. I feel like every single fintech or group in the sector of asset management and wealth management is you're either selling added value or you're selling cost cutting. That's always what's happening. And it's always much easier to sell cost cutting in that context. But it's not necessarily optimal. It means that a lot of people have lost their beliefs in the capacity of people to beat the markets, in the capacity of people to actually provide good investment decision. And I feel like that's very, very sad. And we see that with passive investment compared to active investment. But it's extremely sad. We should provide the right tools for people to be able to make decisions that are helping them do better than just buy the S&P. And regarding to financial advisors, the first joke I would make is, do we really need financial advisors? Is that a good thing? And should we put young people in the position of making decisions on your portfolio and on your assets? I'm not necessarily sure that that's the right thing to do. And I'm not necessarily sure that a master in either engineering or financial markets or anything does help you actually predict something immediately. I think it's much more complex than that. And so I believe that the job of financial advisor will and should be more and more focused towards client relationship and less focused towards markets decision. And I think a lot of that should be replaced by either teams or systems or algorithms that are centrally making smarter decisions and systems so that the financial advisor can just have the tools to have some explainability tools in order to interpret what's happening, but does not need to make these decisions. That should be centralized. It's too complex. Financial markets, risks, crises are too complex for people just to make individual decisions, and individuals should be at the level of customer relationship.
Giulio?
But for sure, the value added by individuals, by advisors, is very important. Of course, the age of advisors, the average age, could offer some resistance to innovation. In the past, a seasoned professional offer traceability, no? In this case, can slow down the innovation process. But anyway, a simple, engaging experience, it's a must. And as you know, it's a mindset. No, it's not only towards millennials, but also if you look to the evolution of the society, there is a more longevity in the wealth. So it's important to define different service addressed to different needs. And also, if I think to my behavioral experience, I'm not only one customer, I'm not only one investor. It depends of my needs, of the moment, of what is my goal. I go in a boutique or in a bazaar. It depends. So there is the necessity to deep service design to address the best proposition to the right target, I think.
Yeah,
And
no, I can agree. Yeah.
Can I just jump on pick up the point Giulio made, because it actually is very important. It's the behavior. We are different customers at different places and circumstances. Some of my academic research, actually, as soon as I left the corporate world, was focused on observing and noticing how episodic memory informs how we save and how we invest. And I spent good 6 months in researching neuroscience, artificial intelligence, and wealth management. Because I think this different personalities, which we all have, different circumstances, are actually determined by, by past experiences more than actually we are able to. And our brain makes decisions, takes decisions which we sometimes cannot explain, which those decisions are regarded as behaviors. And I think if we were to design the technology in wealth management for the next 3.0 wealth management, I think it has to be a technology which understands neuroscience better than and embeds neuroscience in the design and deployment of this technology.
Fahd, you want to weigh in?
Not much to add, except that, yeah, I think I would agree with what Clara just said on the ability to use machine learning actually to gather behavioral patterns, and so as I said, it's you can analyze those type of data through your social data footprint, through your emotional pattern. You've got to analyze the personality traits, for example, based on user behavior. In our platforms, through the conversational AI, you can actually understand some terms and emotional aspect of the language, which basically create a better understanding of, for example, risk appetite and these sort of things. So yeah.
Just a thought, it's not directly related to this question, but it's something I want to mention related to AI and hype, etc. I have an example that is very typical of how people are seeing AI and the difference between people that are really leveraging that technology actively and people that are thinking about this and doing POCs and these kind of things. Sometimes we meet a hedge fund and we ask one of our traditional questions is, are you more fundamental, discretionary, are you more quant, or do you already have a data science approach for generating strategies? And sometimes we get a response that is very cool. It's, what's the difference between quant and data science? Meaning, what's the difference between traditional regressions and SVMs and random forest and deep learning? When we have that answer, we know these guys are good. Because it's actually the truth. Machine learning is just an extension of mathematical theories and technology that we've been using in finance for a long time. Yep. And I think it's also part of the answer to that AI hype, etc. It's, hey, give that to the tech team that are actually leveraging these kinds of technology already. There are a lot of great people in finance with a very technical IT, data science, quant background, and let them continue to do their work and give them the tools and the budget to continue developing these technologies. Doesn't need to be a hype. It's just an additional layer of tech.
But on that point, I think it's we've reached a point where there's a confluence of elements which create that innovation opportunity. So, for example, you've got cloud computing and you have the power on computers to process the data. You've got access to a lot more data point as well. So you've got access to the data to run those machine learning models. And so you can actually indeed use regression and other models that have been well known for decades, but you can now have actually business applications on it.
Giulio?
But an artificial intelligence approach on behavioral and on emotional, of course, is able to track as much better our profile than a MiFID questionnaire, I think. No, I am founder and the chairman of a Swiss tech company that provide privacy solution in communication. And in the team of there is some white hacker that's able to track every digital action that we do in our life and to profile very precisely what we do. Of course, applying in investment process, yes, this can offer a very suitable product, very suitable timing decisions, then an advisor. Of course, the best scenario is the connection of these two fields, because there is a problem in trustability or in responsibility, to say better, because artificial intelligence can offer, and this is where we are address our action, can offer an explainable approach, so explainable, comprehensible for humans. But there is a lack of responsibility, legal responsibility in terms of decisions. So human must, as I told before, maintain and keep in the loop.
I'm just going to say one word for everyone to answer on the end to summarize this panel, because we didn't talk much, but Giulio, trust. How does trust play into this? Trust.
Trust. Trust is the key point, I think, and maybe when thinking to trust, I think that till now, big brands establish wealth management firms, asset management firm, of course, drive the markets. Now, digitalization, startups are changing the paradigm. So it's, I think that the trust will be more in the core of the proposition, in the core of the approach. Will move. It's not a brand. It's not, I don't know, a website with a compass and with professional dressed people, but is in the real core of the approaches. Of course, this will grow together with the financial education and the knowledge of the mass market. Okay, we are lacking now on this, but in the next year we will have surprises about.
Okay, Sylvain, trust.
Oh, same word. Yeah, I see two things. The first thing I'm thinking about when I'm hearing trust is data and GDPR, which is one of the big constraints both for us and for our clients. We're trying to stay as far as possible from consumers and as close as possible to B2B research teams that are actually building the products and the data, which allows us to be GDPR compliant. But I think that's a great issue for everyone that is tracking behaviors and the like. There's another thing about trust is I think we should all be aware that finance in itself is a business of trust, a business of marketing, where science and math is actually used as an argument, sometimes more than as reality or as a way to generate performance. It's a good thing to some extent, but I think finance should focus a bit more, capital markets should focus a bit more on what these technologies actually bring and not necessarily how nice they look on a slideshow. That's hugely important.
Clara, trust.
In the future, artificial intelligence, the wealth management 3.0, 4.0, and thereafter, there will be tools which will be able to understand us better than we understand ourselves. And in order to build the ground for that to happen in an environment of trust, we need to start now. And I'm yet to see in our industry a lot of conversation around ethical AI and deployment of and use of this technology within ethical frameworks. It's we don't talk, not even at these conferences. I'm surprised that actually we don't have tracks to discuss this this aspect. It's essential if we want this technology to actually create the value we are expecting it to do.
Doing my little bit here. Okay, Fahd, last word on trust for AI and wealth management.
Trust is key. Finance comes from the Latin word fiducia, which means trust. I think it's at the core of everything we do in this industry. I would argue that it has different aspects, though. From, for example, a regulatory standpoint, do the regulators trust machine learning models and application of AI into our industry, and how can they actually efficiently regulate application of those technologies? It's from the business decision maker standpoint. So if I'm, the CEO of a large asset managers or wealth managers, is actually this technology providing increased revenue and top line or reducing my cost base? So can I trust that technology to deliver my outcomes? And from an individual perspective, maybe the more important here is, can I trust that technology to get better outcome on my financial lives? And by that I mean, for example, why would I be excluded from credit access to credit because the machine decided that, based on my skin color or name or whatever, I'm not eligible, and it's a moral discussion maybe here around the regulation of the application of those technology. We know that advisors have bias by making those decisions and making recommendations to clients. Do we want that to continue, or do we want to change that? It's for the industry collectively to decide what is a fair application of the technology.
So thank you. This was a great panel. Some answers, but a lot of questions. And let's give them a big round of applause.
Thank you.